Guys, we're back, and we're seeing a little bit more Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, of course, on the outset of the ending of the last one, usually getting into a little bit of trouble, meeting a grand upstanding citizen, one that wants to defend the weak. At least that was his main motivation before the ills of the system got to him. And I'm guessing the time is spent in the culling games hasn't exactly helped his outlook on life. I will say that a public defender as a character, one that holds significant power within a show like this, isn't something I've really seen before, so I'm all for it, and hopefully you are as well. If this is somehow your first episode, welcome. If not, you know how it runs by now, so I hope I entertain you and earn your subscription today. But for now, grab a drink and sit down so that we can begin. Now, obviously, because of my little break, I've been waiting to get back into some more Jujutsu Kaisen because, well, the story is something to mixes up a bunch of the supernatural curse entity bullshit along with some religious imagery and mythology throughout the ages, so granted, I miss a lot of it and don't know it until it gets pointed out to me, but after the fact, I quite enjoy it. But yeah, we have some powerful entities moving on the board. The fact you've got Maki now appearing alongside, kind of in the footsteps of Toji. Various members of the culling games already. Hakiri, was that his name? And of course, Yuta. And several characters we haven't really mentioned or seen yet. At least not in a post-culling game state. If only he was a tad faster. But things wouldn't have been... That's a good rule for a domain. I'd like that. In here we have to sit peacefully and do things by the book. Justice is blind and all that, so you got... I think I said that, but last time. So you got the stitches in the eye. I mean, is that a crime in its... Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, even so, it's just a misdemeanor, wouldn't it be? Also, if memory serves, there's a law against gambling in Japan, so those parlors themselves are a little not entirely by the books. Huh. Also, the fact that he was acting so meek and kind of scared about going into a pachinko parlor while he was underage. How pure of him. Huh. So, basically, in order to defeat his domain, you just have to have some sort of experience in the law. Unfortunately, this is usually what we're talking about. So there was a lot more playing around and having fun with sorcery and whatnot. So it used to be everyone had one, but they were kind of fun and all sorts of bollocks. Yep, a whole bunch of requirements in place. Does he get any witnesses? Is there an appeal after sentencing? Yeah, I mean, you should at least have an idea of the sentencing, but still, pleading guilty straight away. Isn't that some sort of perjury? He has a point. Well, I think there would still be need for trials because it's how you view that truth. There's a whole bunch of different ways it can be read. The same statement. I mean, it's evidence that I think it's followed the proper stages and whatnot, so is valid for entry into court. I mean, is entering the establishment itself illegal? Surely there are mitigating circumstances. Get a lighter sentence. And, well, he didn't give you any hints on that one. Well, let's hope it works out for him. Leniency isn't really granted now. But I do like the element of surprise. The fact that we got... The fact you've got... Hang on. Yes, but that's not the pachinko parlor itself. So aren't they... Uh-huh. I mean, he doesn't need to be told the crime itself, right? Oh, he can't actually enter. Okay, well, I learned something. Yeah, gambling itself, like I said earlier, gambling itself is prohibited. That's why you got the pachinko and then the bit where you claim prizes as two separate entities. I wonder how many times throughout the years that defense has been made regarding gambling and pachinko parlors and whatnot. Well, I guess it's a light-ish sentence, but confiscating what? His legs? I'm guessing it's going to be his abilities and curse energy, since that's the clearest thing to be confiscated. Also, He's just turned into fucking Harley Quinn with that massive mallet. How many costume changes and clothes is usually going to go through? But it usually is a tough fighter, as we know beforehand, so Curse Energy isn't everything to him. Actually getting a history of the guy? Until, of course, his belief in the system was skewed. Aha. I mean, it definitely seems it. His innate ability to be able to come up with... Did he just adjust his tie? His ability to come up with this domain and then understand it all. So what you're saying is that he's autistic in the best way possible. That's a nice slide. Also, one thing I do like about this is the limitations in colors and shading. We've seen this before, back when we had the blood slicing and... Okay, this animation is pretty cool. And yet he can move at that kind of speed. Temporarily. Took the energy instead. Yuji is a exceptional character in of his own right. But we saw before that he went in fist first into situations before he even knew anything about the Jujutsu life. I like his little gorilla walk. If he pulls down everything in the theatre, there's nowhere for him to run. Ah, aim for the bath. Soft landing, you know. Ah, missed. There always has to be some water involved just to make the scene that bit more impactful. I mean, confiscation, sure, but, you know, in sentencing, you are usually meant to be told the length of time for something like that. He's using his 4 brain cells to come up with a plan to fight back against his legal technique. A retrial. Instant. Unfortunately... Ah! Interesting. But unfortunately, much like many times, and one that we saw in the backstory, retrials don't exactly go the way you want. Ah! Okay, this charge is a lot... a lot harsher. And one that he is, yeah, just going to admit to. Higuruma looked a little surprised by that confession as well. And a flashback sequence. The thing is, if he'd went in all in as a prosecutor, he would have a pretty damn good conviction rate. Unfortunately, would his sense of morality and right and wrong fight against him, much like it did here, where he lost his sense of justice in defense? I mean, here he wouldn't even be eligible for the death sentence because we don't have capital punishment anymore. So it's already a difficult situation, and now tenfold. You see, this isn't really a miscarriage of justice because, he confessed to it, but Yuji himself, is beating himself up about that day and what happened, even if it was Sukuna that dealt the blow. People will undoubtedly fail you in their judgments. Well, that is some deep nihilism in everything and everyone. Is that 3D chairs? Oh, nicely integrated. And if he has to sit through all of that and seeing how it gets played out. Yuji's indomitable fighting spirit there. There we go. And is it the fact that Yuji himself took the blame and confessed on it, even though it wasn't his crime? But yeah, Yuji is the blinding light in the darkness. So fighting back against his own predetermined thoughts. Did he dissipate the sword? He himself stopped the judgment. So that darkness, the greed and dishonor of people. Ah. So legally he cannot be held guilty. Even though Yuji himself wanted others to hold him accountable. Being told that he's innocent in all of this probably isn't a welcomed thought to him. He regained a little bit of why he got into this. It's just he saw the very worst of it in the system that he belonged. And since Yuji seems to have succeeded quite well here, we're going to go over to Megami. Yeah. And after being that, he's taking on all of the culpability of Sukuna's work, and now that. Was that a little introspection of himself there? You know, taking matters into his own hands. And then, you know, revenge isn't what it's... I forgot what the phrase is. All cut out to be. Considering how many points he's got, yeah, there's probably wallowing in despair several times along the road. I wonder how other sorcerers, other characters would have fared in this moment. Because usually just being the entity that he is, losing his cursed energy is only really a minor setback. But if this was Kenjaku, what would happen? That I'd like to know. Obviously, Sukuna as well would be interesting to see, but I think the domain wouldn't even get into place. I like adding the stipulation. You know, it does count to gaining or losing points, so a change in point value. He will graciously accept this gift. For a while. Yeah. His duty is... Is he going to... Yeah, okay. Hold some accountability for that. I do like how similar they are. You know, don't just have some bluster and self-assuredness and cocksure attitude that they are doing the right thing. No, recognizing mistakes that they have made. Higuruma, in his outburst, in his darkest moment where his ideals in the law and justice were lost, and he took out on those around him, though the prosecutor and the judge, even though they, considering the rules of his own ability here, they must have done something worthy. Unless it's while he was still getting used to his abilities and just kind of it wasn't set in stone yet. He became judge, jury, and executioner. That I could see him holding himself accountable for. Yeah, Yuji and him are quite similar in that aspect, not wanting to let those that were trampled underneath just be forgotten, but some sort of punishment to fit the crime for themselves, some ostracization, if need be. And this entire episode just focusing on the two of them in the old theatre and whatnot. I really liked how it started off with, oh, you're charged with going to a pachinko parlor. Oh no, what am I going to do? And it's, yeah, you're charged with mass murder. Oh yeah, no, fair enough. I think Yuji might have his priorities a little flipped if the pachinko parlor one was he was worried about being caught for. But yes, I do notice because he actually holds that other one as really weighing him down. It's heavy on his conscience. This is, a self-contained, all-encompassing storyline for them. And I like how Yuji, despite everything that he's went through, everything that he was forced to be part of, still in that moment being a way to draw Higuruma back from the edge, think there's still something good in humanity in of itself to fight for. He did quite well for being a just rush forward musclehead, didn't he? I don't think Megumi would have been able to talk his way out and be quite as successful. Yuji is a people person, after all. I mean, he got Hakiri on side as well. Hakiri? One of them. But yeah, this episode, there's been a few, but this episode especially, it wasn't quite up to the same scale as what we saw with Choso in the bathroom. The lighting and cinematography and references to other kung fu films and things like that. But we had the color palette and the shading, some really nice animation and camera moves, quite fluid in parts, and of course the amalgamation with some 3D work, which really didn't bring anything out of place. They kept it quite minimalistic and they kept it into the background elements. What I do want to just know is 20 sorcerers went against him. He used those 100 points to add the rule. The prosecutor and the judge were the last 2 points that he has to live with. What's the point that he gave to Yuji? Or did I get mixed up and the judge and the prosecutor were the last two, so Yuji's got one of them? That one might need to be cleared up. Can't remember if he had 2 or 3. If it is 3, who's the third one? But this was a neat episode. I liked a lot about it, and I think just I want more of that character, but with his exit just there, I don't think there's going to be much. Unfortunately. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. I know very little about the legal system and don't really want to get into it, let alone other nations' legal systems. So there's probably a few bits that went over my head, but generally same qualities I think across most countries. If I entertained you in any of this, let me know. Leave a like and a comment down below, help the channel grow and get out of the YouTube hell pit that is its current state with AI algorithms and inability to find smaller channels. I'm not just crying for my own sake here. There's other creators that I watch and follow. It's been impossible to find them as well, which... what are you expected to do? Still, we can just sit back and watch more anime, so I think that's what I'm going to do. If you want to make sure not to miss out future episodes, consider subscribing, join to my Discord for notifications when things do come out, and once and for all, or more than once, more than ever, there we go. Get some rest. I'll see you in the next one. Wonder what art to be tried with. Probably best not to think about.